September 24th, 2023 took us through the loudest maze ever created of US Bank Stadium. Kirk Cousins failed to drive his team down the field to win the game as the Chargers went on to win 28 to 24 in this US Bank Stadium Classic. The stadium itself, I have another pretty big bone to pick with it on. Uh, the main thing being the concourse isn't maneuverable at all. Like if there's a line in a bathroom a, or like a food place or a bar, you are not getting through. There is no way. You have to shove your way through these lines because they did not build the concourse wide enough for if there's a backup at the line that there's still like an aisleway to walk through to walk around the stadium. With that said, it's also very poorly mapped out. Like it's atrocious. We sat in section V2, like row 5, and we could not find our seats. We had no idea where to go. There was no sign that said section V2 this way. I remember walking around the stadium. We did like 3 laps when I'm like, okay, there's this section, there's this section, so we got to keep going. And you would never see a sign that would say your section. Like they would have like 110 to 115, and then it would just be Rate Club, Polaris Club, like all these types of clubs. And I don't know, my tickets did not say our tickets were part of a club. So the stadium gets knocked for that too, not having like the tickets had no information on them. So I didn't know where to go. And then the clubs did not say what sections were inside of each club. So we just kept aimlessly walking around the stadium until I finally asked some workers because the stadium was so poorly mapped out. And when we asked the workers and the staff members, they were of no service to us either because they kept telling us like, oh, you're on the wrong side. You need to go to the other side of the stadium. We'd go to that side of the stadium and they would tell us the exact same thing. We asked like 4 or 5 different workers and kept just getting, oh, you need to go like towards the end zone, or you need to go to the other end zone or the other side of the stadium. And I finally just said, screw it. I'm going to start scanning our tickets at every single one of these kiosks until it lights up green and we're good to go. And that's what we did. We ended up being in the Polaris Club. We did not know that. It did not say on the tickets. It did not say our section was in that. So I literally just had to scan everything because the workers and the staff members at the time did not know. I hope it's better now. The stadium was a couple years old at that time. It wasn't brand new, so they should have knew then. So it was kind of a joke at that point. And the one thing I can say about the stadium is it looks very nice. But from the looks of it, if you didn't know the Vikings played there, you probably would not think it's a stadium. It's not like the typical stadium structure. The architecture is very nice, but you would not know. If you didn't know, you would probably think it's a bank because it's called US Bank, or like a really fancy small hotel. We didn't rank the stadium too poorly. It got a 6.8, but for it being a new stadium, that's a pretty average score just because of how not wide the concourse area was. You could not walk through if there was any form of a line. If there was 10 people on this side trying to get in the bathroom and 5 people over here trying to get in to get a hot dog or something, you weren't moving. And it was constant because they would just have 30 hot dog stands in this restaurant and that restaurant and this food course and this food court. And like, it was just, you were walking through a crowd of people. It was like you were at concert trying to walk to the front. And it's like, dude, it's not happening. Just turn around. And then you turn around and you still couldn't go nowhere. So yeah, the score got a 6.8 for the stadium score. I know it kind of sucks, but that's kind of our experience. Fans and atmosphere, we kind of went back and forth on for a couple of reasons. I'll start with the bad. The bad was trying to get around the concourse. No one would let you through. Even like when we were just trying to find our seats, it was a constant just battle with the fans. They did not want to let you through. They thought you were cutting in line. It was almost like that scene from what movie is that with Mike Myers, where he's in the cart in the hallway. That's what it was like trying to get through. They were like, nope. And it's like, guys, please, we're just trying to walk around. And then they're like, oh, okay. Like, no, just come on. Like, make a small human sized path and just let people through. That was the one big thing. Another big thing was there was a couple of fans next to us. They sat 2 rows in front of us. I believe we were row 5. Um, Yelling obscenities, everything, the whole game. Mike Williams actually tore his ACL in this game and walked like right in front of we were to get to the locker room. And the guy was just double free bird and calling him a bunch of names. And it's like, dude, he just got hurt. Like, now's not the time to heckle. And just a few minutes after that, you know what happened? Justin Jefferson got hurt. And it was kind of like some bad karma that ended up happening that guy kind of deserved. But there's that. And this dude was just screaming when they lost. He stomped out of there and was screaming, and it was pretty pathetic. That was the bad there. The thing that saved this of a 6.8 for the fans was the atmosphere. It was the loudest stadium we've ever been in so far. And that skull chant that they did is electric. This stadium was least amount of Charger fans I've ever seen. We probably had like maybe 10-15% of the whole stadium was Charger fans, and this stadium was packed. Both the teams were 0-2 at this time, and they both knew, like, hey, we have to win this game, or the chance we make the playoffs is 0%. So they all went out. The skull chant, the blowhorn that they blow into, they cheered. It was a complete 180 from the Titans we did the week before, where it was just completely dead. No one cheered for anything. No one was happy about anything. These guys were screaming the whole time, and we really liked that. This was actually the game that, on that final drive, it was so loud. On the way home, we were listening to sports radio, and a bunch of like people that cover the team were tearing Kirk Cousins up because apparently in his like post game press conference, he talked about how loud it was in the stadium and how it was impossible to operate his offense. That's how loud it was, because it was very, very loud. And maybe it affected the Vikings, maybe it didn't, but the atmosphere was electric. Just the fans kind of sucked. So that was our score, 6.8. Now, where the stadium was good, or at least better, was their concourse and food. We didn't get much here. We bought a few things and then found out that the club that we were in actually came with some food. So that sucked. I wish, again, the stadium was mapped out better or told us something more to where we wouldn't have bought stuff and then realized, hey, we could have got all this for free. But they had a lot of options. What we did have was pretty good. We ended up giving them a score of a 7.9 on the food because it was pretty good. There were some options. If you're not going to be shy of options, if you're not feeling a hot dog or chicken tenders, they have all sorts of random stuff. I think they did some like LA nachos or something weird when we went just because they were playing the Chargers and it was like crab meat and kind of some weird stuff that you don't want to see in nachos. They had multiple options, tried to cater to the away fans and give you a little bit of choice. So I will give them that. Concourse is where the stadium kind of shined a little bit, and we gave them a 7.9. Can't dog on them completely. Now I'm back to dogging on them because the value was off. We ended up giving them a score of a 4.8, which is one of the worst scores we've ever gave. There was just no value in it at all. I always buy tickets last minute, like because there's always someone that can't make it, bought a bunch of tickets just to resell, and they're just trying to get something for them. And these tickets never went down. We still ended up, I believe we paid just about $1,000 for the 2 tickets, and that smoked everything else that we've ever spent. This is the only stadium that ever did that. Even to this day, all the other stadiums, there's not one that didn't go down significantly in price. So that sucked. The food, while good, was pretty expensive, but you're going to have that with some new stadiums. They're trying to recoup their money. The value we gave a 4.8 because there really wasn't any value there. It was just expensive. If you're going to go to this stadium, it's an expensive stadium to go to, or at least it was 3 years ago. I don't know if it's changed a little bit now that it's an older stadium, but the value just was not there. The total for the stadium, we ended up giving a 6.58, and it's pretty correct. Like, sorry to Skull Nation, but you guys got a new stadium and it's nice looking. But other than that, there's not much to be proud about in our eyes. And if I would have let Abby have her way, you guys would probably be at about a 3. Because this is the one that when I asked her what was the best, what was the worst, she goes Vikings. Vikings by far the worst. So I'd be happy with 6.58. Right now, you're second, barely by a smidge, but that's kind of it. That's our review of US Bank Stadium. And next one, we go to the Frozen Tundra in Lambeau.